Hi everyone, it's me Feliciel and welcome back to my channel. Now if you've seen my last art vlog, you're aware that I've been knee-deep into like full-on production mode, rushing to make a bunch of new design, producing them, working out logistics, and all of this is for the Christmas market of La Défense. And I thought I would share with you guys some behind the scenes because I've finally set up my booth and I wanted to share how that experience went, and also some numbers of what I actually did to prepare for this event. So first of all, what is the Christmas market of La Défense? Let me explain it all to you. It's none other than the biggest Christmas market of Paris. It's a market with 300 booths. There's artists, vendors, food stalls, and other activities. Last year, they gathered 1.5 million visitors, and that is over 45 days of market, from the 13th of November to the 28th of December. And that is 7 days out of 7. Which means if you ever think about taking part into it, get prepared because 45 days is long. So if you're solo like I am, there's really a lot of thinking and preparation to go with it. You might consider hiring someone to hold your booth during the days off, but that is some extra costs. Or have, like me, a partner that would gladly accept to use all his days off to help you out during the market. Thank you, Gabin. So find yourself a friend, a family member, a loved one that can help you out occasionally for this event. Because let's be real, doing 45 days of market non-stop is not only unreasonable, but also just impossible. Your body's gonna tell you to stop sooner or later. I also want to talk about the costs of this event, because that's also something to consider if you're wanting to vend at those markets. So the basic cabin for one artist usually is 3 meters by 2 meters, and that approximately costs 5,300 euros, which is a lot of money. And so I'm actually sharing a double booth with another artist to reduce the costs. We have a cabin that is 4 meters by 2 meters, which means we each get 2 by 2 meters, which is usually what we work with during conventions. And that way we each pay 3,300 euros for our part of the booth, which is nice because by sharing a booth, I'm keeping 2,000 euros that I'll use differently for this market. So let's talk about the extra money that I'm gonna be needing, because you're not only paying for your booth, but then there's a bunch of side expenses you're gonna have. Starting by my most important one, which was the cost of my raw materials, which cost me 2,000 euros. Now for me, since I do laser engraved products, it's going to be all my coasters, my wood, the trivets, slate, that I will then be engraving my design on top. And aside from the stock, there's also all you're gonna need for setting up the booth. So that can be flooring, some heating, since you will be freezing in December, the lighting, decorations, etc. And those side expenses can also cost you a lot if you don't already have those things. Little thing I want to add is that for the double cabin, we have 1.5 kilowatt of electricity, which means it's included in the price to put your lighting, your heating, etc. Now let me explain to you how setup went for me. We came on Sunday the 9th of November to start setting up the cabin. And oh boy, it was going to be a lengthy process that I did not plan for, because the first step was going to get the flooring done. Now the reason we were adding carpets to the floor was because under our feet was just a metal plate that was cold and would let the cold air pass through. So the organizers of the event highly recommended we had some sort of flooring to not have cold air passing through all the time and be a little bit warmer. So I had bought little squares of carpets that were 50 by 50 centimeters, and I just figured if I have enough squares, it'll just perfectly fit the 4 by 2 meters cabin without thinking that realistically it wasn't going to fit perfectly, and therefore I did not bring any tools to cut the carpet. So Gabin, that perfect human being, sacrificed his poor hands to cut out the carpets one by one with wire cutters, because that was the only thing that we had in our toolbox. Should I have thought of bringing scissors or an X-Acto knife for setting up a booth like this? Probably, but I didn't. And so yeah, it did work, but it took forever and also destroyed Gabin's hands. Hello, Gavin. What are you doing?
I'm cutting up the floor so that it fits.
Are you having fun?
It's easier than yesterday.
You mean with actual tools?
Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah, a miracle. So keep in mind, just the first day we had been there for 8 hours, and the second day of installing we were there for 7 hours. Now granted, I also did a stupid mistake of not organizing my stock before going to the market, and so a lot of those hours were spent going through everything that I had made and sorting them through category, theme, to smoothen out the process once I'll be selling at the market. So to make the stock manageable during the market, I'm also going to just get 10 of each item that I'm gonna nicely put behind my booth and have the rest of my stock in big boxes under the table. That way, when we're doing sales, it's still manageable and I can refill when it's a bit more chill. Christmas tree raclette spatula. The snowman. Now after the flooring came the lighting. Since we are in winter, it gets dark really fast, and so we want to make sure that during the peak hours of the market, our booth can really be visible from far away. So we installed different types of lights. We each have one light pointing down to our table to really light up all our products. A common light we have pointing to the back of the cabin to light up the background. And then to add a little bit more of a cozy vibe, we have some string lights with big light bulbs that runs through the ceiling of our cabin. It's also a way to make it a bit more warm, cozy, inviting. Once the lighting was done, it was time to actually set up our individual booths. We add the table, add our tablecloth, put our backdrops, do our display structures, put up our products, add price tags, signage, all those little elements. I did really have a hard time finding a place on my table to put all of the new products that I had made because I really hadn't realized the insane quantities that I was doing. But in the end, I found a solution. And then I also tried to think about behind my booth how I can smoothen out the checking out process, since there are going to be some pretty crazy rush hours, I believe. Something I really enjoyed about the setup process for this specific market was that we could come whenever we wanted. So from Sunday to Wednesday, we could come in at any time of the day to set up our booth, which really was a lifesaver since Gavin was working during the day and we could just go at the end when he was done with his tasks and could stay until 2 a.m. without a problem. And yeah, that's pretty much how setting up went. It was so long, very chaotic, but I'm so happy with how it's looking in the end. And compared to other conventions, it feels like it was actually worth it because the booth is staying for 45 days. So it's not as if I'm already gonna pack everything up in like the next day. If you want to see the process behind making all of my stock, make sure to check out my latest art vlog. All my products are also listed on my online shop, even the Christmas ones. And if you're around Paris, make sure to come say hi at the Christmas market. I would love to see your faces. And yeah, I'll try to post more behind the scenes and vlogs during the market. We'll see if I manage. I also post really regularly on Instagram if you want to go check that out. If you like this video, give it a like. If you like, you can also subscribe to this channel. I do a bunch of art content. And yeah, thank you for watching and wish me luck for the next 45 days. Bye bye!